Hello and welcome to the Pilates Bro YouTube channel and podcast. My name is Douglas Banker. I'm going to be your host, aka the Pilates Bro of the channel. Starting this channel to get to spread around information and knowledge about the Pilates world. A brief background on me: I'm former military. I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years. So I've always been athletic and disciplined. So Pilates is definitely, you got to be athletic and disciplined to truly get and understand, the classical form of Pilates. Now, there's all kinds of stuff out there that, is labeled Pilates today, but that ain't this. And not all Pilates are created equal, just like many things in life. So, with that being said, this will be a podcast, and there will be people that I will be interviewing from, who knows, all over the world potentially. This is day one. This is the first video, March 25th, 2026. Let's see where we are 2027. Let's see how this thing grows. But pretty excited to share my knowledge and experiences with everybody, and also learn from whoever comes on and joins the podcast for a little while with me. So like I said, my background: military, not something that get out of the Marines. It's like, I'm gonna do Pilates. Like, I honestly had no clue what Pilates even was. I just thought it was like, oh yeah, that's some yoga thing or whatever. I mean, because I've always been more of like the gym bro, right? But now I'm the Pilates bro. And I got out of the military and I was working in security and just natural transition. And then I started working as a manager for a spa on a very secluded and elite island here in Miami, Florida. It's called Fisher Island, and you can only get to this island if you have a yacht, security through ferry, where you drive your car onto a ferry and get ferried over to the island, or by helicopter. Other than that, you don't get on the island. And this island, if anyone's been to Miami, it's just tucked away, and this is where the billionaires are. This is where people that you don't even know what their names are, who they are, but they're in charge of natural gas, oil, and some of the people that truly run the world. But that's neither here and there. It's just where I found Pilates first. So I was managing a spa, and the director of the spa says, "Hey, Doug, I'd like for you to go try this lady's class. It's a Pilates class." And I was like, I don't think so. She's like, well, here's the thing. I'm going to be opening up a business. I want to bring you into this business, and we're going to leave this island. And she's going to be, a part of the business, and she's going to have that Pilates component. We're going to have massage. And at the time, I was in school for massage therapy, actually. And she's like, so I want you to go try this class. And I was like, nah, I mean, I'm all about like, hey, let's start a new venture, but just Pilates is not my thing. She's like, well, have you ever done it? I said, well, no. She's like, so how do you know it's not your thing? I'm like, well, it's just like classes are always full of women. It's more of like a woman's type thing, and I just don't think that that's where I need to be. And she's like, don't be so damn narrow minded, Douglas. It was actually a man that invented it. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's great. I'm happy for whoever this man is. Um, but this man is not a Pilates man. I'm sure he was probably like some Broadway dancer, some, soft fairy guy, is what my, response to her was at the time. And she's like, you're just so bullheaded. No, the guy was a professional boxer and a wrestler. And I was like, yeah, I kind of find that hard to believe. I don't want to do this Pilates thing. Like, I'm a former Marine. I I run 10 miles with packs on my back, and I can lift heavy weights and squat a couple 100 pounds. And what am I going to do in some little fairy lady class? And I was just awful, like just Mr. Macho and whatnot. So finally she says, okay, listen, you're going to go and do it, and I am going to pay you for the hour. Now, this is your job to go take the class, and you're getting paid for it. Like, okay, if you want to do that, then great. You want to waste my time and your money? Sure, pay me, I'll go do the class. So the day comes and I go and meet with this tiny little Eastern European woman, and she's all bubbly and wiry, and it's like, oh, come on. So I'm like, okay, let's just get this over with. Well, over the next 45, 50 minutes, she just proceeded to challenge every part of my being. And I just remember being humbled very quickly. It was a lot harder than what I would have ever expected. And, this is where the roots actually started to spread and grow for my Pilates journey. And I remember this woman saying, hey, straighten your leg. She was trying to get me to stretch my hamstrings. And, my leg was bent, and, I'm holding on to a Pilates ring, right? I've got one foot up on the other end of it. And, I'm trying to straighten my leg. I can't do it to save my life. And she's like, your leg is not straight. I'm like, well, this is as straight as my leg goes. She's like, well, how come I can straighten my leg? I said, well, that's simple because, you're a girl. Girls are naturally more flexible. She says, well, that's the biggest crock of shit that I've ever heard. Push harder, straighten your leg. So I'm pushing and I'm sweating, and, yeah, it got maybe a little bit straighter. But, it was a challenge to me. And it really just got under my skin that somebody else could straighten their leg and I couldn't straighten my leg. And it just affected my ego. And I'm like, no, now I've got to straighten my leg. This tiny little thing can straighten her leg and I can't straighten it. And I've always been into martial arts. And if you watch all the old martial arts movies, all the martial artists are very flexible, and they can bring their foot up to their ear and straighten their legs. So I was like, wait a minute, I've got to step up my game here. I've got to be able to straighten my leg like Jackie Chan and Jet Li and all these guys, and this tiny little woman over here. So after the whole thing was over, I get up and I stand up, and she's like, so tell me something. How was it, and how do you feel? And I said, well, it was awful. Not what I thought, but I feel taller. I feel longer. I feel energetic. All of a sudden, I felt really damn good. And at that moment, I recognized there's more to this Pilates thing than I had ever even imagined. I just thought it was like some Zen yoga where you're, oh, doing all kinds of mantras or something. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just at that point in life, that was, my preconceived notions. So I continued on training with this person, and it took about year and a half or so before I was fully certified as a Pilates instructor. The program that I was certified under was Ramana's Pilates International. And if you don't know about that or who it is, look it up. Romanas. Romana Kryzanowska was a Russian ballet dancer, and she actually danced for Mr. Joseph Pilates, the man who created this entire system and method. They say that Pilates, Joseph Pilates, was the man, and what he called his method that he designed was contrology. So the art of controlled movement, kind of like martial arts. And he did take some things from martial arts and other modalities and built everything together into this well-oiled system that we now know today as Pilates. And so I was fortunate enough actually to even train with Ramana and a lot of the Pilates elders within the Pilates community that also did work with Mr. Joseph Pilates, who passed away in 1968, I believe, at either 86 or 88 years old. But yeah, that's a brief history of me, my Pilates journey, and we're going to just continue to see where this channel goes and how it grows. And that's about it for today. But thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever you want to say. Just let's keep this thing going. And that's a wrap.